Hello everyone, welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Elizabeth went to Finn's workplace and discovered him getting his hair trimmed. She laughed and promised to talk to him later. They ran into each other a short time later. He mentioned that he wanted to appear well for their trip, but had not had time to get his hair cut. She excused herself and moved away since she had things to do. She later went to his office, wondering what she was meant to pack. He assured her that the cabin had already been provisioned and that they would not be doing anything crazy. They argued over what time to leave, and he eventually agreed to pick her up at 7:15. She disagreed, claiming that taking her car would make more sense because it was larger. They decided to divide the driving duties. Later, Elizabeth boarded the elevator and discovered Finn inside. She requested him to remind her to acquire some apples for Aiden to take home, as she had promised to do so he could prepare pie. Finn reasoned that Violet wouldn't notice him if Gregory, Chase, and Brooke Lynn were all watching her. No responsibilities, no work, just us, he said, which she appreciated. They kissed when the doors opened and proceeded in opposite directions. They ran into each other again a short time later, and both confessed that their work was completed. "See you at 7:30, she exclaimed as she dashed away, and he called back that they were leaving at 7:15. Cody told Trigger, the horse, in the stables how bad it felt to be left behind. When he heard the door open, he turned to see Sasha standing there. She explained that she had made the decision to stay. She stated that on her way to the airport, she had considered the many positive aspects of Port Charles and the people who cared about her, and she had decided to stay. "You can put me at the top of that list," Cody murmured, taking her hand in his. Sasha went on to say that she'd have to stay at the Metro Court until the movers could return her belongings to her apartment. She admitted that she hadn't returned any of Maxie's calls because she was concerned about her work at Deception. Cody thought Maxie was a decent person, especially because she'd raised a wonderful son. Cody, Sasha reasoned, felt close to James because they were relatives. She stated that Matt cared about Cody, even though he had no idea they were connected, so she thought Mac would be overjoyed to learn the truth. Sasha later assisted Cody in feeding Trigger. Curtis thanked Portia for making sure he had time with Laura when she arrived home. Curtis wondered what was wrong when Portia poured herself a glass of wine. They discussed Cyrus, and Portia informed Curtis about her encounter with him at the hospital. She assumed Trina would have to return home. "I know who I'm going to call," Curtis remarked. Jordan Rand saw Stella at the hospital, and Jordan revealed that her nephrologist had cleared her. Stella wanted to buy Jordan coffee to commemorate the occasion, but Jordan was content with an update on Curtis. Stella stated that Curtis had made significant progress, and Jordan wished she could give him an update. Just then, a breathless Felicia approached Stella and told her she'd made a huge mistake. Jordan's phone rang just then, and she went away to answer it. Felicia went on to say how confident she felt after completing her training, but that day had been a disaster. She informed Stella that she had assisted a patient with completing forms for insurance approval of an MRI. She had assumed that everything had been done correctly and that it had been approved, but it turned out that the patient would have to pay hundreds of dollars out of pocket, which they did not have. Stella responded, "Write a check," and quickly persuaded Felicia that she was joking. She accepted Felicia's forms and vowed to see what she could do about it. Curtis told Portia that he'd called Jordan because Cyrus needed to be on the PCP's radar because of their family. Portia decided to phone Ava, so Trina wouldn't have to work at the gallery alone. They were wondering which doctor would testify on Cyrus' side, and Curtis advised they leave it to the PCPD for now. Jordan observed Curtis was back at the Savoy's books, and he bemoaned that the club had had its worst quarter yet. She told him that things will improve now that he was back. She advised him put down the books and think about dinner. He wanted to take her out to dinner, so they dressed up and left. Jordan sat down next to Felicia at the hospital and persuaded her that Stella was the only one who could repair things. Stella returned, revealing that the insurance company was adamant on billing the patient. Felicia glumly decided that she would pay for it because it was her obligation. Stella later told someone on the phone that she owed them big time, then hung up. Felicia was unsure who to make the check out to, but Stella assured her that everything was in order. She stated that the patient had agreed to let the hospital use the results of that MRI in a significant project that the hospital was sponsoring. She knew the person in charge of coordinating clinical study results, so she made some calls and fixed it. Felicia hugged Stella and proclaimed her a lifesaver. Stella later assisted Felicia in navigating the difficult forms. Dante walked into Sunny's office and handed him a business card. Sunny opened the wedding card and discovered 2 tickets for ringside seats to a boxing fight inside. Dante reasoned that it was as much a gift for Nina as it was a way to get Sunny out of the workplace for a few days. Dante apologized for missing the wedding, and Sunny told him of Michael's support. Sunny went on to say that he'd never forget who he'd asked to be his best man. Each stated how important the other was to him. Sunny was relieved that Dante had stayed behind, because Dex had told him what had happened to Ava. He inquired as to why Dante had been placed on leave, and Dante stated that the procedural issues will be resolved. Sunny was more concerned about Cyrus's freedom, and Dante warned him not to do anything he would ordinarily want to do. "Yes, detective," said Sunny. Dante left as Sunny looked at the tickets after the 2 hugged. Willow entered Nina's office and wondered whether she was interfering with Michael and Nina's conversation. Michael explained that they had just talked about Willow, and he asked Nina if she wanted to inform her. Nina claimed they'd only been discussing the wedding and returning to the island. Willow explained that she was there to discuss returning to the island because that was all Wiley could talk about. Michael advised that, with the holidays approaching, they aimed the following year. Michael persuaded Nina to give Willow the gift Nina had mentioned, as doing so would save her a trip to the house. Nina presented the gift to Willow, and Michael volunteered to take her to her car. Willow wanted to stay and catch up with Nina, so he turned and walked away. Willow adored the framed photo of Wiley that was inside the present. She hoped that the wedding would mark the start of a new chapter for them all. Nina was distraught as she remembered her altercation with Michael. She talked about all of her faults and how she wished she could undo them. Willow said that they couldn't alter what had happened, but they could learn from it and do better in the future. "I'm willing if you are," she said at the end. Nina felt grateful for Willow's presence in her life. Willow noticed Nina was wearing the bracelet, and Nina expressed her love for it. Willow mentioned that she'd been having dreams about Harmony, who was continually attempting to warn her about something. She apologized if discussing Harmony made Nina feel uncomfortable, but Nina claimed that it was fine. Nina had suffered a great deal in her life and feared that she might lose Willow, but Willow insisted that she was not leaving. After Willow had left, Nina was looking at her bracelet when she heard a knock on her door. Sunny had brought dinner and a flower to commemorate their first night back in town. They ate dinner in her office and kissed. Carly came to Kelly's and expressed gratitude to Jocelyn for covering. Drew had been sent back to Pentonville, but she hadn't been able to see him since he'd been placed in solitary confinement. She emphasized that it was for his safety, as his release was still pending. When Michael arrived, Jocelyn advised him that it was time to put out the Q signal, because Carly didn't want him to be involved anymore because it was too close to the insider trading issue. Carly told her kids about Alex's essay on Judge Kim and how the judge might reconsider his punishment. She wished to remain silent until the judge made his next move. She insisted on knowing the identity of the whistleblower. Michael replied that he was still working on it and that he would keep her informed. Willow arrived and quickly apologized to Carly for talking about Nina and the wedding. Carly insisted that everything was ok. Willow went on to say how proud she was of Michael for stepping up and accepting Sunny and Nina. A little while later, Michael, Willow, and Jocelyn had milkshakes. Elizabeth and Finn tapped maple trees for fresh syrup near a cabin in the Vermont woods. Before entering the cabin, Finn kissed Elizabeth. Elizabeth suggested she begin cooking dinner. Finn kissed Elizabeth again, and they agreed that supper could be postponed. Jocelyn and Trina studied with Adam in their dorm room for a midterm exam. Adam was charmed with Jocelyn, and he complimented her study techniques. As they began to get to know one another, Jocelyn felt charmed by Adam and recommended that they grab a bite. Dex suddenly appeared after knocking. Jocelyn and Dex cuddled as Adam looked on, a pained expression on his face. Adam recommended that he and Jocelyn keep studying, but Jocelyn insisted on a break. Dex mentioned that he was going to store Sunny's speedboat for the winter and offered Jocelyn a ride. Jocelyn stated she had plans when Adam asked if she and he might continue studying later in the evening. Adam and Jocelyn decided to study together at a later date. Adam stood in the hallway outside the door after Jocelyn and Dex had departed. Adam looked at Jocelyn and Dex as they walked away blissfully together. Trina was upset when Cyrus entered the Jerome Gallery. Cyrus stated that he had not attempted to locate Trina, who had urged Cyrus to go. Cyrus attempted to apologize to Trina for kidnapping her and Portia 2 years before. Trina stood firm and ordered Cyrus to leave. Spencer walked in just then. Spencer, who hadn't heard that Cyrus had been freed from Pentonville, was concerned and inquired as to why Cyrus was at the gallery. Cyrus attempted to flatter Spencer, saying he didn't blame Trina for not trusting him. "Oh, stop this disgusting act. I don't buy it," Trina stated emphatically. Cyrus begged Spencer to believe him, recalling how he had tried to protect Spencer while the two were at Pentonville together. Spencer agreed that Cyrus had looked after him, but he held Cyrus responsible for what he had done to Trina and Portia. Trina remarked, with a tear in her eye, that she would never forgive Cyrus. Trina stated that if Cyrus approached her again, she would contact the police. Spencer informed Cyrus that it was time for him to depart. Cyrus told Trina on his way out that he owed her money. Trina yelled at Cyrus to get the hell out as Spencer dragged him out. Spencer then dashed over to Trina, who had begun to sob. Spencer comforted Trina by holding her in his arms. Spencer offered Trina a bottle of water, and she resolved that Cyrus would not make her a victim again. Spencer complimented Trina on how she behaved herself in front of Cyrus. Trina requested Spencer to promise not to tell anyone about her outburst with Cyrus, to which Spencer agreed. "But clearly, you can take care of yourself. Though, if you ever need backup, just know that I'm right here, okay?" Spencer asked. "I know you are," Trina whispered quietly as she encircled Spencer with her arms. They exchanged hugs. Esme eavesdropped on Laura and Alexis' entire conversation at Alexis' office at the Invader. During the chat, Laura informed Alexis that Nicholas was alive but did not want to be found. Laura inquired as to the severity of Nicholas' accusations for kidnapping Esme if he were to return to Port Charles. Alexis stated that it was up to Robert to make the decision. Alexis went on to say that the only proof the authorities might have is from Elizabeth. Alexis stated that she did not believe Nicholas would be charged unless Esme regained her memories. The topic shifted to Cyrus' release from prison. Laura stated that she would take a long time to trust Cyrus. After Laura had left, Esme approached Alexis about a raise. Esme expressed her desire to leave Laura and Kevin's apartment since it was overcrowded. Esme made an admission when Alexis inquired if she was being entirely honest about her reasons. "I am starting to have feelings for Spencer," Esme admitted softly. Mason became enraged at TJ in Mason's hospital room for not allowing Mason to take more pain medication. Whenever TJ Mason proceeded to criticize TJ after noticing that he was receiving the proper dosage of pain medication, Mason began to babble, and TJ he remembered where he met Mason. "Wait, no, I know who you are. You were one of the men that was holding me captive when I was abducted," TJ said. Mason acknowledged that TJ was correct before stating that his admittance was caused by the pain medication he was taking. "You know what you did, and you're going to pay for it, you sick son of a bitch," TJ said, vowed as he stormed out of the room. TJ was noticeably agitated in Jordan's office at the Port Charles police station. rushed in to inform Jordan that Mason was among the men who had kidnapped TJ in 2020. Cyrus' orders will be fulfilled. TJ Mason had mentioned something distinctive that had awakened TJ's memories of being kidnapped. Jordan took TJ by surprise when she stated that Mason could not be prosecuted for his role in TJ's abduction. Jordan stated that she did not believe there was a solid enough case to present to Robert's office, considering TJ during the abduction. He was blindfolded and bewildered. Jordan went on to say that there was no proof to back up TJ's accusation. Jordan stated that she believed TJ and that Mason would still face prison time for attempting to murder Ava. That is great. That is so great for Ava. Unhappy that she's getting her justice. But what about mine? Where's my justice? TJ asked. Pleaded. TJ was irritated. Before leaving, he threw his hands in the air. Back in Mason's hospital room, Mason told Austin that he would inform the authorities that Austin had assisted Mason in kidnapping Ava. Mason wondered why Austin would want to go down with him. Mason made fun of Austin. You have been a pain in my ass for years, always being so high and mighty, thinking you're better than me. Why? Because you got some fancy piece of paper from a college. Well, I want to see how high and mighty you are when we're sharing a prison cell, Mason gloated. Austin exited the room, only to return moments later. Austin quietly closed the blinds inside the room while alone with Mason. Austin stated that he was done begging for things in his life and gradually put on a pair of medical gloves. Besides Mason, who would I be begging? Right? I mean, there's no one in this shell of you that's even remotely human, so there's no reasoning with you, Austin chimed in. Mason, Austin saw, would never assist him. Not on your life, Mason snarled. Well then, I guess it's just time, Austin sighed. It's time for me to help myself. Austin then switched off the hospital monitor next to Mason's bed. Austin then approached Mason, grabbing a cushion from a nearby chair. You don't have the guts, Mason pointed out. Simultaneously, he returned to the hospital and approached Mason's room quietly. Austin was spotted smothering Mason with a pillow through the holes of the drawn curtains. Mason writhed and flailed beneath the cushion. So what do you guys think about this update? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my videos, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.